as the Garden City for its attractive parks and lush green spaces, this vibrant city is a thriving center of ideas, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Often referred to as Silicon Valley of India, it has become a global hub for technology and startups with a dynamic ecosystem that fosters creativity and business growth. One of India's most ethnically diverse cities, this city boasts of a unique blend of cultures, languages, and traditions, attracting people from all over the country and beyond. With pleasant summers, mild winters, and numerous tourist attractions, the city is also home to many prestigious educational and research institutions. It is one of the fastest growing metropolises in India. It leads the nation in IT services, exports, and drives India's global tech presence. Welcome to Namma Bengaluru. Expanding on this vision, Deccan Herald, the renowned English daily, held the 4th edition of DH Bengaluru 2040 Summit, an initiative dedicated towards shaping the cityscapes of Bengaluru for the future. With this initiative for the last 3 years, Deccan Herald has been bringing together thought leaders, policymakers, industry pioneers, and influential stakeholders to shape the future of Bengaluru city. This highly anticipated event serves as a strategic platform to discuss and ideate on a comprehensive development blueprint for the city. Let's start with some glimpses of the 4th edition of DH Bengaluru 2040 Summit.
Now, to set the context for the day, I'd like you all to put your hands together and welcome on stage our executive editor here at Deccan Herald, Mr. K.V. Subramania. So.
Namaskara. Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to welcome you to the 4th edition of DH Bengaluru 2040, where we gather to collectively shape the future of this vibrant city that we call home. At Deccan Herald, our bond with Bengaluru runs deep. We have chronicled the city's transformation for over 7 decades, from a quiet pensioner's paradise to the dynamic Silicon Valley of India. As a newspaper, we have been both witnesses and active participants in this journey, documenting Bengaluru's achievements and challenges. Today, as the city stands at a pivotal juncture, this summit reflects our commitment to fostering actionable dialogue on building a Bengaluru that is thriving, sustainable, and livable by 2040.
Our keynote speaker today is that metaphorical giant who kind of sparked off a revolution, and I can safely hazard that maybe 4 or 3 decades ago, he would have never assumed that his revolution will today cause our utility supplier, Bestcom, to think about upgrading their entire grid, because that's the revolution you sparked off. He's an entrepreneur and technologist who is very, very passionate about renewable energy and clean mobility. He founded Reva, a car company, which is now the Mahindra Reva, in 1995, and he's been acknowledged as a pioneer in the domain of EVs and electronic vehicles. He's currently the co-founder and chairman of Sun Mobility, and they're a provider of energy infrastructure and services to accelerate EV usage. And of course, he's also played an instrumental role in advising the government of India on their EV policy. Please join me in welcoming on stage Chetan Maini.
Today, I'd like to share my thoughts around EVs, AI, and the road to sustainable future in Bangalore. Right? Bangalore has always been a city of innovation, a place which has redefined industries from IT to biotech, to mobility and to aerospace. And today we stand at the dawn of yet another such revolution, one that will fundamentally reshape the way we live, move, and power our cities. The convergence of AI and electric vehicles is just not a technology shift. It's unlocking the potential and making more future sustainable intelligent transportation a more livable Bangalore that we are. So, electric mobility today across India has hit close to 8%, right? And in some sectors like scooters, cities like Bangalore have hit over 54% of all new scooters sold in Bangalore are actually electric. So there's a real push here. But not just metros. Actually, what we're seeing now is tier 1 and tier 2 cities are also really becoming more and more important for electrics, because there the distances are much smaller and electric mobility makes a lot more sense and you save a lot on fuel.
Our chief minister, who had a minor health setback, is on the road to recovery. And here at Deccan Herald, we have always commenced the DH Bengaluru 2040 summit with an address from our chief ministers. Now, our chief minister, Shri Siddaramaiah, has very graciously sent us a video message. So let's watch.
I extend my heartfelt appreciation to Deccan Herald for fostering this dialogue and to every citizen contributing to this vision. You are not merely shaping city, you are shaping history. Together, let us create a Bengaluru that stands as a beacon of progress for the world. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
In today's times, artificial intelligence or AI is revolutionizing industries, driving innovation, and reshaping the way we live, work, and interact. The very first panel discussion held during the DH Bengaluru 2040 summit focused on redefining work and workplaces in the AI era.
Thank you, Sharat, Manish, and Aparna. If I could start with you, Manish. At the recent AI summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he was talking about the future of work, he said, and I'm quoting him, he said, history has shown that work does not disappear due to technology. Its nature changes and new types of jobs are created. Could you weigh in on that?
I think that's been true historically. I think whenever through the Industrial Revolution or even through the Information Revolution, that has been true. I think it's too early to comment on AI for two reasons. One is we don't know whether AI makes superstars uncatchable or it brings the less skilled person to the median. Right?
Okay.
I think that it's, a good plumber, a good barbender, a good mason, a good electrician is 4 times better than a bad one.
Okay.
But a good software programmer is 100 times better than a bad software programmer. A good investment manager is 200 times better than a bad investment manager, and a good CEO is 500 times better than a bad CEO. So I think the public finance implications are aside, the impact on jobs of higher inequality because of a winner-take-all in skills is what has started happening in.
The densely populated urban environments often bring with them heightened stress, isolation, and pressure, contributing to a rise in mental health concerns among masses. This makes prioritizing mental health in urban cities essential. Let's hear what experts have to say on mental wellness for a future-ready metro.
We've been talking about AI. We've been talking about, the use of AI. We've been talking about tech. We've been talking. These are all, buzzwords that we hear a lot. People are increasingly seeking out AI, social media for stress management, for mental health advice. Now, these are not exactly trained professionals, right? They're not equipped to deal with an individual as a human being. These tools may help make mental health aid more accessible, but they might do more harm than good. So how do we strike a reasonable balance here in terms of enabling access to these tools, but also ensuring that that access is good?
Well, I think mental health, since it's become a very publicly spoken about issue, and we've been seeing many celebrities and a lot of them coming out and speaking about it in the open also. So it's become a point of discussion, and a lot of people are aware of it. Even young people also are aware of it. So the problem, I think, is sometimes what happens when such endorsements are there and when it becomes a public discussion, many things can be wrongly read as a mental issue. It could be just normal stress. It could be just normal difficulties that a person is facing.
But with respect to AI, I was going to confess I'm a geek. Now, what I've realized is many of my patients have a very deep and meaningful relationship with their mobile phones. And that the mobile phone is going to be the first port of call for all information. In fact, some of you in the audience will use terms like SEO and so on, much better than I am. But we just created our new website for our hospital, 60 years old, very new website. And I've come to realize our patients no longer look at websites for information. They ask a question of their AI engine. And it is that we as doctors and healthcare professionals must get engaged with understanding what's in an LLM. How do we ensure that the information that is coming to my patient isn't, and what I think my tech colleagues call a hallucination.
Bangalore is one of the leading healthcare centers in the country, and we've got excellent health facilities, hospitals, and even in public health systems, public health care. I think Bangalore is a leading city, and I think it's growing in terms of adding of facilities. We have NIMHANS, which is one of the internationally renowned institutions. We have fantastic hospitals even in the public sector, in the government sector. We have Kidwai, Jaydeva, the Indira Gandhi Child Hospital.
My one message is this: try to differentiate between mental health and mental illness. That is very, very important, because if it is mental illness, then it is an illness by itself. You have to take treatment. There's absolutely no ambiguity about it. With medication, pharmacological and psychological interventions, you are back on the mainstream like anybody else. So let not stigma come in the way. That is my only appeal.
Coming up after a short break, the discussions begin from governance, urban planning, and how Bengaluru continues to shine bright as a startup capital. In the last few years, the real estate sector in Bengaluru has played a pivotal role in the city's development, driving infrastructure growth, enhancing urban living, and supporting its rise as a major tech hub. The panel on building Bengaluru, governance, urban planning, and the role of real estate developers examines how collaboration between policymakers, urban planners, and developers is crucial for creating sustainable, inclusive, and well-planned cities.
This panel, we want to discuss how are we accommodating all of these people who are lining up in Bangalore? How do we make it sustainable? How do we make sure that the growth is sustainable and now we're not out of track and make the city not livable? So whenever we speak of development, the first thing that comes to mind is about a master plan. So I want to open up the discussion asking Mr. Harris.
Okay, as far as the master plan for Bangalore, whatever you are asking, everybody knows the reason why it was taken back and what has happened. Now, the new government, we have already taken up dronal survey of the city is happening now. Once that happens, I think we will be getting into the actually making what all new things has to be done and how it has to go forward. See, earlier there was like the green belt was removed and then green belt was supposed to be added. And as a Bangalorean, I also believe that green belt should exist. So it is between the line that we need to fight with keeping green belt and giving more development and things like that, because Bangalore city is growing beyond anybody's control.
As a city, I think Bangalore has grown tremendously, and the way it is, and sir is absolutely right. I think highest demand in the country because of many reasons. But I think the big opportunity, for example, in Bangalore would be redevelopment space. In the city center, urban rejuvenation, I think, is a very big opportunity where you have the infrastructure, where you have everything that's available, but there are certain social infrastructure that is lacking. For example, not enough medical facilities, hospitals, etc. are not available. Now, there are areas where people's quality of living is very, I would say, suboptimal. An area would be a Chickpet, for example. Now, in that area, can you really create a policy framework in which you can do comprehensive redevelopment, enhance the quality of people's life, at the same time bring to the city what is required, where the infrastructure is already present? And it's something which has been done in the past by many cities. So, while we all talk about the infrastructure and the challenges, I think we also need to look at opportunities. And this is a great revenue generating opportunity for the government to then deploy into infrastructure as well.
How has Bangalore grown in the last decade? I think all of us are able to see it. We are able to engage with it. There is a lot of development, or there is a lot of growth. I won't necessarily call it development, that is occurring. And like any other city in India and large cities, it is largely growing on the peripheries, and that is a function of land economy. Having said that, the lack of a master plan, to me, in my head as a planner, it's a huge debilitating factor that we have today. We must remember that there is a master plan that currently is what we are saying is going to steer the growth of Bangalore, which is premised on data that was of 2006. We are a mega city. We are one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And therefore, to say that we are going to rely on something that was analyzed and collected in 2006, I think should not be acceptable at all. And I think we do need a master plan.
A development plan or an urban planning for a city is about how, as a society, we live in it. It's about not just about the zoning where we do the residential, commercial, retail and other things. It's also about how do we live in terms of water, electricity, transportation, jobs, education and art, architecture. And these are all part of a human society, well-developed societies living. And what we are looking for in the new development plan, sir, is an attention to detail about all these things.
While Puravankara completes its 50 years this year, it's a huge opportunity for Puravankara to not just show and demonstrate what it has achieved in 50 years, but to partner with a very, very credible media house like Deccan Herald. The idea is to highlight the challenges of Bangalore and, one of the biggest advantages of democracy is debate and public debate and identifying what we can do as a country, as a city, to improve ourselves and to make the quality of life of citizens better. So Puravankara continues to contribute not just to real estate landscape, but also to the social cause of ensuring that we are doing justice to the cities that we live in and we build together.
In the last few years, there has been a boom of startups in India, revolutionizing the entrepreneurial landscape, driving innovation, creating jobs, and positioning the country as a global hub for emerging businesses. The next panel on how Bengaluru can retain its supremacy as startup capital explored strategies to sustain the city's entrepreneurial ecosystem, fostering innovation, investment, and talent to maintain its leadership in the startup space.
How are you viewing Bengaluru since the days of the pandemic and beyond now? And how do you see 2025 to be in terms of whether it's attracting talent, whether it's in terms of building companies, or in terms of the funding environment?
There's been a slowdown in funding with respect to early stage companies. Most of the capital that's been coming has been more towards late stage deals, profitable companies, pre-IPO companies. So if you look at the data, you'll see a huge skew towards that contributing to a large chunk of funding. However, good deals are starting to happen. Personally, I know of a defense tech company in Bangalore, company building a quantum computer out of Bangalore. So a lot of deep tech, AI, defense tech companies are starting to get capital. Now, these companies will start getting larger capital 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line. So if you do this 5 years from now, your narrative might be slightly different.
On one hand, you can have measures like maybe reserve some jobs for locals. But on the other hand, the prescription can be that ramp up upskilling to such an extent that you do not need to reserve any jobs. Which side of that?
As a minister in the Karnataka cabinet, my primary role, or I am supposed to work for the benefit of the people of Kannadigas. Correct? I am not a union minister. If you want me to be the union minister, I'll be more than happy to do so. wherein I will ensure that every Indian is employed. But right now, I am mandated only for the state of Karnataka. And I am, in my job, I'm going to ensure that we have the right skill sets for our people. Like how sir pointed out, there's a huge gap between what industry wants and what we are delivering in our education system. That is the reason why we have come up with a quick fix solution like Nipuna Karnataka.
See, well, we have a clear blueprint when it comes to information technology and biotechnology and electronics in Karnataka. So we are creating a great solid pyramid of foundation with the foundation of incubators and accelerators, topping it up with schemes and policies with great funding. So I think this solid pyramid of funding to knowledge clusters is going to be the game changer for Karnataka in the near future.
With this, it's the end of this special episode that brought to you excerpts from the insightful panel discussions and solution-oriented conversations by visionary leadership. In yet another episode of DH Bengaluru 2040 Summit, we will bring you a series of engaging discussions held throughout the day, the discussions that were focused on driving impactful changes in Bengaluru, ensuring that the city grooms into a sustainable, inclusive, and progressive urban center in the coming times.